All right, let's dive right in. We're constantly told that building a huge business means you have to outwork everybody. It's all about the hustle, right? But what if that's actually a trap? Today, we're going to talk about a totally different way of thinking, how to build a business that can actually breathe on its own without you. And it all starts with one simple but really powerful idea.
Okay, this quote, it hits hard, right? If your business needs you to survive, you don't own an asset, you own a high-stress job. Oof, it's kind of uncomfortable because it's a truth a lot of founders face. See, the goal isn't just to be busy, it's to build something that has real, lasting value. And that forces us to ask a really important question. What are you actually building here?
So, first things first, let's just tear down the biggest myth in the whole startup world, this obsession with the grind. The idea that working more is always how you win. But is it really? I mean, you've seen it, right? All over social media, in every interview. Working 80, 90, 100 hours a week is treated like some kind of badge of honor. It's sold to us as the sacrifice you have to make for success. Like, if you're not totally wiped out, you're just not trying hard enough. But here's a totally different way to look at it. What if that badge of honor is actually a giant red flag? What if being chained to your business isn't a sign of your commitment, but a sign that its design is fundamentally broken? That's the idea we're really going to dig into.
And that leads us to this really critical fork in the road every founder has to face. Are you building a job for yourself, or are you creating a true asset? Let's figure out what this founder's trap is all about.
It's a simple, undeniable fact, really. If every big decision, every important process, every single client relationship has to go through you, well, then the business can only grow as big as you are. You, the founder, literally become the ceiling on your own success. So look at these two paths. They're so different. On one side, you've got this high-stress job where you are the business, you're the bottleneck. Growth is capped by your personal hours, and the value disappears if you're not there. But on the other side, you have a true asset, something that runs on systems, not your sweat. It scales without you. It works independently. Just take a second and be honest with yourself. Which one of these columns feels more like your business right now?
Now, I know this might all sound like a nice theory, but is it even possible in the real world? Well, let's look at some absolutely staggering proof of what can happen when you focus on building an asset instead of a job. $250 million. Just let that number sit there for a second. It is a massive, massive figure. It represents an incredible level of success. But believe it or not, the number itself isn't even the most impressive part of the story.
And here it is, the punchline. That $250 million is the annual revenue from a group of companies where the founder spends exactly 0 minutes on the day-to-day stuff. This isn't some fantasy. This is the real result of building a business in a very specific, very intentional way.
So how in the world do you do that? How is that even possible? Well, it all starts by adopting a really simple but kind of radical mental model for every single decision you make. Let's call it the Scale Zero Razor.
This is it. This is the rule. This is the filter for everything. Every new process, every new idea, every decision. You ask yourself, if it requires me, it doesn't work. It forces you from day one to think in terms of systems and delegation, not just your own effort. It's a total shift from asking, how can I do this, to asking, how can this get done without me?
And here's the crazy counterintuitive logic behind it all. We think that to make something bigger, we have to do more. But true, unbelievable, infinite scale is only possible when the founder's personal involvement is heading towards zero. Your job isn't to be the one running the machine. Your job is to build a machine that runs itself.
Okay, I get it. That sounds amazing. But how do you actually do it? Let's get tactical. Here's a clear, step-by-step escape route you can use to start pulling yourself out of the weeds.
This is your roadmap to zero. It starts with step 1. Be brutally honest and write down every single thing you do, big or small. Step 2. Look at that list and start grouping the tasks into core business functions, things like getting new customers or making sure orders go out. Then, step 3, you define a real role that would own that entire function, not just do the tasks, but own the result. Think director of marketing, not person who posts on social media. And finally, step 4, and this is absolutely crucial, hire for the role. You're not just trying to get tasks off your plate, you're hiring a replacement owner for an entire piece of your business. So as we wrap this up, I want to circle all the way back to that first question we asked. Because after seeing this other path, it's worth asking yourself again, with fresh eyes, what are you really building?
Seriously, think about that for a second. A business is supposed to create freedom, right? not become a prison where you're the only one who has the keys. The hustle, it can feel productive, but if all it does is trap you inside the very thing you created, maybe it's time to start building some doors instead of more walls. The real goal isn't just to be the boss, it's to be the architect of something that can live and breathe and thrive all on its own.